This team of scientists is trying to understand why a phenomenon is occurring that defies all laws of physics in the universe, but the answer lies in the actions of one young girl in the 1960s. In 1966, China, during the Cultural Revolution, a crowd chants to eliminate all the counter-revolutionists. A scientist is tortured in front of the crowd as one of his former students, now in the military, asks him if he taught Einstein's theory of relativity in his class. His daughter, Ye Wenjie, stands in the crowd, distressed, watching the people torture her father. The scientist admits to teaching it, calling it a basic principle of physics. He is interrupted by a female soldier who tells the crowd that Einstein helped the Americans create the atomic bomb, suggesting that for this reason they should not be teaching his theories. The scientist's wife is called, and she betrays him by saying that she stands on the side of the people and that she disagrees with his belief in the Big Bang theory. The scientist is tortured and beaten to death while Ye Wenjie watches from the crowd, sobbing. The military and the crowd are stunned into silence when the scientist's body goes limp, indicating that he has died. Later, Ye Wenjie holds her deceased father, placing his tobacco pipe in his hand. Fast forward to 2024, in London, a police car heads to the scene of a crime. Detective Clarence Shy enters the house to find a gruesome spectacle, a countdown on the wall written in blood, and next to it, the words, "I still see it." Clarence, who is investigating the suicides of multiple esteemed scientists that appear to be connected, says that he's seen countdowns on the other suicide scenes as well. He learns that the scientist was a cosmologist and theoretical physicist from MIT who was next in line to win a Nobel Prize. Clarence observes the body, finds a knife in the hand of the deceased, and discovers that the man removed his own eyes. Next, at the Oxford University Particle Accelerator, a woman named Vera Ye approaches her student, Saul, who appears to be severely distressed. He tells her that according to the latest experiments on the particle accelerator, all the physics of the last 60 years has been wrong. As of right now, science is broken. Shaken, Vera asks if he believes in God, and he firmly says no. He adds that even though physics has gone down the drain, it won't be explained by the concept of God. Vera asks that if they don't have science and they don't have God, then what's left? She leaves him alone. She heads to another room in the accelerator, opens the gate, and looks down into the depths. Taking one last deep breath, she lets herself fall to her death. Next, two scientists, Auggie and Jin, are at a bar discussing why physicists around the world are freaking out when they're interrupted by a man trying to flirt with them. They refuse his advances, but the man keeps shooting his shot. He asks what they do for a living. Auggie tells the man she designs self-assembling synthetic polymer nanofibers and has started a company to make them for various medical and energy uses. Jin says she's a senior researcher in theoretical physics at Imperial College, and she's analyzing the results from particle accelerator experiments throughout the world. Realizing that he is not going to Sigma male his way into this one, the man leaves. Jin tells Auggie that a few months ago, all particle accelerators around the world started producing results that made no sense according to the laws of physics. Auggie asks if it could be a programming or hardware problem, but Jin says that all the accelerators have been thoroughly checked multiple times and no issue has been found. She says Saul sent her the data a while ago, and he couldn't understand it either. Auggie gets a call from Saul but ignores it because he has been ignoring her. She notices a weird golden energy around her phone but pays no mind to it. Saul then calls Jin, and while she takes it, Auggie notices something in the air behind her. She stops and asks the man from before if he can see it, but he says he doesn't see anything. Auggie sees a countdown in the same golden energy from before. Jin comes back and tells her that Vera is dead. Clarence crosses out Vera from a board of scientists that he is currently keeping track of. The board contains pictures of Saul, Auggie, Jin, Will, and Jack. These people are known as the Oxford Five, but Jack is a dropout who now runs his own business. At Vera's funeral, Jack asks Will if he's excited to see Jin again, knowing that Will has loved Jin for a long time. Jack mentions that Jin has a new boyfriend, but reassures Will that the guy is probably a loser. Next, Auggie is on the train heading to the funeral. She sees the countdown again and starts freaking out. It is consistently in her vision now no matter where she looks. She reaches the funeral, meets everyone, and tells Jin, who is the only one who knows, that she's still seeing the countdown, and even her neurologist can't figure out why it's happening. During the funeral, a mysterious old man shows up to pay his respects to Vera but stays only for a few moments. As he leaves the building, Clarence, who is scoping all the scientists out, takes his pictures. He follows his car and sees him board a helicopter with the name Evans Energy on it. Later that night, the Oxford Five and Jin's boyfriend Raj catch up, as the group hasn't met in a long time. Jack jokes around with everyone and tries to get Auggie's attention, as she seems distracted. However, when he jokingly implies that Auggie and Saul are fighting and sleeping together, an irritated Auggie reacts angrily, catching everyone's attention. She leaves the bar for a smoke break. A woman approaches her, offering a lighter, and sits with her. Auggie isn't interested in making friends, but the woman mentions that she knows about the countdown Auggie is seeing, and Auggie is shocked. The woman says that if she wants to get rid of the countdown, she should just stop all her scientific and technological work. However, if she doesn't stop, the countdown will keep going, and Auggie does not want to know what will happen when it hits 0. Auggie asks the woman who she is, and she doesn't answer. She asks Auggie if she's ever seen the universe wink at her. Auggie doesn't understand, and the woman simply tells her to go outside at midnight the next day and look up at the sky. The woman leaves, giving Auggie a cigarette box containing a toy. Flashback to 1967, Ye Wenjie is forced to work at a labor camp cutting down trees. One day, she meets a man named Bai Mulin. The two hear a noise from the nearby radio tower, and Bai tells her that no one knows what is happening there. He mentions that the men who have gone to the facility have lost their hair, and the weather and animals there act strangely. Bai mentions that he knows Ye Wenjie can read English and gives her a copy of Silent Spring. He warns her to not let anyone see her with the book, though. Ye Wenjie reads the book secretly and spends more time with Bai. They spend a night together full of passion. A few days later, Ye Wenjie looks for the book but notices it is missing. Guards show up with Bai Mulin, holding the book. They ask where she got the propaganda book, but she doesn't say Bai Mulin's name. She is taken to division headquarters. A woman named Teng Li Hua of the immediate People's Court arrives to see her. She tells Ye Wenjie to sign a paper and agree to take a political class, and she will be allowed to rejoin the construction corps. Ye Wenjie asks to read the paper. It is revealed that the paper makes her testify against her late father's colleagues. She refuses to sign it, and Teng pours a bucket of water over her already freezing body. The next morning, Ye Wenjie wakes up inside a van. She is taken out and sees that she is at the radio tower. She meets Lei Jicheng and Yang Weining, who work for the Red Coast base. Ye Wenjie's intellect is valuable to the base since she was her father's best student, and they have chosen to use her talents. She is told that if she takes the job, she can never leave the base again, and she immediately agrees. In the present, Clarence discovers that the strange man at the funeral is Michael Evans. He gets a call from his superior and explains that Michael hasn't been seen in public for 42 years, but appeared at the funeral. It is revealed that Clarence is not working for any agency, but for one man who seems very interested in this case. At Vera's home, Vera's mom gives Jin a shiny helmet, claiming that Vera had been playing a video game with it. Jin takes the helmet. On her way out, she notices a picture of Vera's mom from her youth, and it is revealed that she is actually Ye Wenjie. At home, Jin puts on the helmet, and it transports her to another world. She notices the sun rising, but it suddenly becomes too bright, and a sandstorm commences. She steps back and notices a decomposed body being unearthed. Freaking out, she instantly takes off the helmet. In the past, Ye Wenjie asks her superiors what they are testing with the radio telescope, but doesn't get a straight answer. A high-pitched sound emits from the telescope, which makes the birds in the area behave strangely and fall to the ground. In the present, Auggie takes Saul outside 2 minutes before midnight. He tries to flirt with her, but she asks him to focus. She doesn't tell him what is going on with her, and just tells him to observe the sky and tell her what he sees. Exactly at midnight, all the stars in the sky start becoming incredibly bright. The two are shocked. In the past, Ye Wenjie is called to the commander, who lets her know the true nature of the project. She points out that she knows it is not an experimental weapons program because the emissions from the telescope were modulated. They tell her that the emission was for communication with entities beyond Earth. In the present, Auggie and Saul notice the sky full of stars, and suddenly, the entire night sky starts blinking. The two are dumbfounded. After getting over the initial shock, Saul figures out that the blinking is a code, and the toy the mystery woman gave Auggie is to decode it. He recognizes the code as numbers, and it turns out to be the numbers in Auggie's timer. The flickering sky is on the news, and Vera's mom, Ye Wenjie, watches the news, confused as all the other scientists. Her thoughts are interrupted by the knock on the door, which turns out to be Saul, who brought food. She asks him for a theory on the flickering sky, and he claims it is a realistic deepfake. He says that while the whole world saw the stars, it wasn't captured on any satellites. He also says that he has no idea who could be behind it. Auggie is at work when she sees that her synthetic polymer nanofibers can cut through a diamond. The onlookers cheer, but Auggie remembers the words of the woman on the street. She orders her colleagues to shut down the project, and as she leaves the building, she notices the timer disappear. She's approached by Clarence, who tells her to keep moving and introduces himself. He offers to help, but she refuses. He asks her if she wants to know why the stars flickered for her, and she looks back at him in disbelief. In 1968, the military tried to reach extraterrestrial civilization. Young Ye Wenjie asked a man how long they had been broadcasting and was told it had been a few years. She explained the Fermi paradox, which stated that just like Earth, other habitable planets must exist with intelligent life. So where was everyone? She said that their signal was too weak. Later, she calculated a signal from the sun to Earth and theorized that sending the signal to the sun would increase their chances of contacting other beings. However, Yang took the idea to the superior first, claiming it as his own. The superior shut down the idea, claiming the political reasons for the red sun's importance in China were far too important. Ye Wenjie was furious at Yang but determined to carry out her idea. During one of the transmissions, she managed to sneakily adjust the satellite to target the sun. In the present, Clarence asks Auggie about Mike Evans, but she doesn't know why Vera knew him. He shows her the footage of the night she met the strange woman, and it appears that the woman didn't show up on camera. He believes her when she says she spoke to her because the footage showed someone lighting Auggie's cigarette. Clarence believes that the footage has been manipulated. He tells Auggie that the countdown she saw was seen by other scientists too. All of those scientists either quit their work or ended themselves like Vera. Jin tries to contact Auggie, who hasn't been responding. She puts on the metal helmet again, entering a new world, where she meets the leader, Count of the West, and a little girl whose name is Follower. He leads her to the pyramid to see Emperor Zhou and explains that this is a chaotic era. The Emperor asks the great minds to decide which era is chaotic and which is stable. Jin thinks that all of this is weird, but suddenly, the sun begins rising. The extreme temperature causes the snowy area to become a desert. They advise her to rush to the shade, and they all hide behind a rock. However, the Count pushes the little girl into the sun. She accepts her fate and lays on the ground to dehydrate. As the sun fades, he explains that the girl is not dead and can be brought back in a stable era. The Count walks away from Jin, leaving her confused, and she exits the game. Jin shows the helmet to Jack, who enters the game by putting it on. He experiences the world for a minute when suddenly he's attacked by a woman who says he was not invited. Jack removes the helmet in a panic and marvels over the realism of the game. Jin tells him that Vera had been playing the game before she died and wonders if her death had anything to do with it. Jack returns home to find another helmet waiting for him and an invitation to play. He puts on the helmet and begins to play, where he meets Sir Thomas More and another follower. Meanwhile, Will teaches his class and explains how the multiverse existing could mean there are various versions of each person in different timelines. After class, he finds out some terrible news at the doctor, which ruins his day. He meets up with Jack, telling him that he has stage 4 pancreatic cancer. Jack gets emotional and tries comforting Will, saying that he has to survive. Jin plays the game and visits the Emperor. The Count of the West tells the Emperor that he has figured out a code that will tell them the movement of the sun. With this, they will be able to know the stable eras. Jin speaks up, telling the Emperor that the method was based on prophecy, not prediction. The Emperor ignores her, and the ritual is carried out. The Count of the West tells the Emperor that the chaotic era will last another 8 days, and afterward, there will be 63 years of the stable era. Jin puts her hand on the ground, which speeds up the 8 days. After 8 days have passed, the Emperor asks to rehydrate all the people. The soldiers rush toward the water to rehydrate the people. Jin rehydrates Follower, who thanks her for not abandoning her. Jin suddenly notices the sun moving further away, which causes a massive ice age. The extremely cold winds turn the Follower and the rest into ice, and Jin is not able to save Follower. The prophecy of 63 years of the stable era was wrong. Suddenly, a woman appears who lets Jin know that she failed to save the people but established science over mysticism. She informs Jin that she must use science to save people in the next world. A man watches Jin's experience in the game from a secret location. Clarence tells his superior that he has found that in 1977, the Ohio State University discovered a 72-second sequence. It looked like an attempt at communication, and it was only detected in Ohio and China. In 1977, Ye Wenjie was in a location for military purposes. In a small hut in the middle of nowhere, she met a young Mike Evans. He explained he was trying to save a bird species. Ye Wenjie noticed the book Silent Spring nearby. Ye Wenjie revealed that they were there to build a radio lab, but Mike was against the idea. While leaving, she quoted the book, and Mike shook her hand. She promised that she would try to stop the people from destroying the species. Yang tried to convince Ye Wenjie to let them construct the lab on the land. He told her of a former Red Guard named Tang Hongjing who had dealt a serious blow to a professor, killing him. Ye Wenjie realizes that this is the girl that killed her father. She went to meet her, and Tang told her that she had been forced to work in the wheat fields and gotten infected with gangrene, which led the guards to cut off her arm. Ye Wenjie asked her to repent, but she refused, saying that she had been a kid and she did not regret killing her father. Next, Ye Wenjie was working at the base when she heard a strange signal coming in. Ye Wenjie went to work and began to decode the message. The message said, "Do not answer. Do not answer. Do not answer. I am a pacifist in this world. You are lucky that I am the first to receive your message. I am warning you. Do not answer. If you do, we will come. Your world will be conquered. Do not answer." Ye Wenjie headed outside for some air, but decided to come back and turn on all the devices. She aimed the satellite at the sun and typed a message saying, "Come, we cannot save ourselves. I will help you conquer the world." With trembling hands, Ye Wenjie hesitated before finally clicking the button, responding to the extraterrestrials despite being warned. Body Problem is a 2024 American science fiction television series which has been adapted from the Chinese novel series Remembrance of Earth's Past. The first season of the series was released in March of 2024, and after it received widespread positive reviews from viewers and critics alike, the series was immediately renewed for a second and third seasons, which are currently in production. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like our channel and subscribe if you enjoy content like this. Also, let us know what movie you would love us to recap for you.